Hello, welcome to this Computer Weekly video. I'm Brian Glick, I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Computer Weekly, and in this video we're going to be talking about the challenges of architecting software for the cloud. Now this is something that a lot of end-user organisations are facing, but we're going to talk in particular about what's involved for independent software vendors, or ISVs as you'll hear us refer to them often. Now for a lot of ISVs, they've got software and the market demand is pushing them to provide that in the cloud. But the move towards turning software to be software as a service is quite challenging, and it involves some very different approaches to that which they're probably used to for developing on-premise software. Now to help me to look at some of these challenges and some of the solutions to them, I've got two fantastic guests with us. On the right, to my right, is John Abel. John is Head of Technology and Cloud for UK, Ireland and Israel at Oracle.
Hello there.
John, welcome. And next to John is Abdul Sheikh. Abdul is Chief Technology Officer at Cintra. Abdul, welcome. Gentlemen, thank you for coming along. Abdul, let's start with you. I mentioned in the intro there that market demands are starting to push a lot of software suppliers to the cloud. Why is this happening? What are the big business drivers behind this, and what are the challenges that presents from a business perspective?
So let's understand an ISV's perspective, an ISV's world. Really, traditionally, they've been challenged with on-premise deployments for customers, looking for the ISV to recommend architectures that underpin their applications, application architectures, database architectures, and so on. And that's been challenging for them. They're not always in control of on-premise IT, and that reflects sometimes in a suboptimal deployment for on-premise for their applications. Really, that's not their problem, but ultimately it reflects on their application. So customer perspective in terms of their solution is important to understand the challenges that they have traditionally. Customers also now looking for a cloud-first strategy. What that means is customers really don't want to be bothered with or fussed with a traditional IT. They want the solution provider to provide those recommendations and take that problem away. And then an ISV's perspective is they aren't necessarily the experts in terms of infrastructure. Their focus should be their mission, which is their application, their customers and their profitability and their growth. So cloud is a tremendous opportunity for an ISV, but at the same time it's also a tremendous challenge.
John, I'm sure you recognise some of those challenges, and Oracle itself is a company that's moving heavily from on-premise to cloud-based software as well. So you're probably familiar with a lot of those challenges. But that means a lot from a technology perspective as well, doesn't it? It means, as an ISV, you have to rethink how you develop software, how you package it, sell it, license it, maintain it, everything. What are the big challenges that ISVs are facing around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. I suppose there's a commercial side to it, which we will leave for the moment, because I think that's down to each individual ISV, how they deal with it. Probably the technical side is that the lessons we've learned is if you're developing, moving from, let's say, an on-premise culture to a SaaS culture or to a platform culture, your users are always demanding new capability, very, very agile. It has to have high cadence of change. You can't expect it a 12-month delivery. You have to keep improving software. So, and Abdul brought out a great point, which is, the ability to move up in the stack allows you to focus on the value you add to the domain-specific features, and then letting companies like ours and Cintra to worry about actually all the technical elements underneath it. Because security you want to have scalability, high availability. So really, what we're now seeing is that the culture of an ISV has to turn into what are the business value we're adding. Let's focus on that, and then work with the partners in the cloud side to use their IP to allow us to grow and scale on demand.
Okay, so Abdul, you talked about some of the business challenges. John's outlined some of the technical considerations here. Let's talk a bit about some of the practicalities now. When you're working with ISVs that you're helping to make this sort of transition, what are the actual practical steps that they're taking to meet some of these challenges?
So I think the first thing is an ISV understanding where they stand in this evolutionary path. The more evolved ISVs understand that their business is not about infrastructure, it's not about necessarily cloud infrastructure. Their application is their focus, and SaaS as a model is their focus. They should be focusing on driving their business value, onboarding customers faster, and so on. But the practical elements of that is really starting with a baseline, understanding where their architecture sits today, where they have elements of the architecture that are already aligned to a cloud strategy, or elements of their stack that may not be required in the cloud. So we use an interesting analogy quite often, which is moving house. So if you're moving house from one house to another, you're not going to pay the movers to move the things they don't need. So really understand where you are, do that strong baseline, and then recognize where you have skills internally that make sense for the cloud, and then partner with a cloud architect or partner in understanding where those skills gaps are and what they need to get to the cloud. So that's really important, is understanding where they are today and the roadmap of where they need to go.
Okay. John, I'll put this question to you first, but Abdul, interested in your perspective on this as well. From some of the early adopter companies that you've seen, some of the software suppliers that each of you work with, who've started to make the move, who followed some of the advice that Abdul's outlined there, what are the big benefits they're seeing? How is it changing them as a company, and how has it been changing their relationship with their own customers?
Yeah, I think the beauty of the world we have now of cloud is that you can become big and scale on demand with the cloud. One of the biggest benefits that we see for an ISV is where before they had to carry a lot of cost to allow them to scale. So if you had to move into multi-continents, if you had to move into new emerging markets, obviously with the cloud now, you can work with companies like Oracle and Cintra, and you can actually obtain new markets with lower barriers, first of all. Also, regulatory compliance and all those challenges around how you provide different types of cloud for hybrid as well. You know, companies like Oracle have been investing in for years. So for us, this is a natural conversation. So I suppose the bang for the buck is that you get scale, you get the ability to actually grow in new markets, but more importantly, you get a whole lot of comfort around some of the technology that's being used by multiple customers. Meaning, again, back to Abdul's point, you're focusing on the IP that's critical to you.
Same thing to you. What can you add to that, Abdul? What sort of benefits have some of your clients seen of making the move?
Really, I think number one, traditionally IT on-premise deployments, the ISV is not in control of user experience, for example. The architecture that underpins their application may or may not be optimal. Moving to the cloud means the cloud is architected correctly and architected and engineered correctly. So one of our key offerings is user experience focus, for example, and in doing so, we ensure the application not only it performs better in the cloud, but also the service level wrappers around the application as well are formalized. So really formalizing a commitment to their customers and their customer base that they're offering multi-tiered service level capabilities to deliver that. So that maturity is really what, and as John said, it's about allowing the ISV recognizing that they need to focus on their IP and their customers and truly get away from some of the challenges historically, which is ISV is a challenge with customers waiting for backlogs of bugs and defects to be resolved or backlog of enhancements and new functionality to be delivered. That's really what their focus should be, and it's about getting on with their mission and what that mission is.
Okay, let's try and illustrate some of the points that you've been making with an example, if we can. Perhaps each of you from the Oracle as the big software supplier, Cintra as the organisation that works with a lot of these software vendors to help them. Is there a mutual customer the two of you got that you could talk through to bring out some of the points that you've been making?
Yeah, I mean, Abdul, you go first because I think you were so closely connected to this customer. It was a great relationship, a partnership. So.
Yeah, no, it's a tremendous story. We have a great customer in the financial services space. They're named Golden Source. They're in the master data management space for financial services. And it's a good use case in terms of reference data, master management data, which isn't necessarily super critically sensitive in terms of data security. It's a nice first use case in terms of a cloud offering. They were challenged with, again, traditional on-premise challenges in terms of deployments, and they've mandated a cloud-first strategy, and also their customers have actually mandated that on them. So all the new opportunities, business coming through the door for them is cloud-first. So in doing so, what we did was we effectively triangulated a ecosystem between Oracle, Cintra, and Golden Source, with Oracle providing tremendous technologies and products for the Oracle Cloud, Cintra as cloud architects, designing multiple layers of architecture offerings for small, medium, and large customers with varying service levels, varying cost points, and so on. And really our job as cloud architects is to design, build, and provide the ongoing managed services. So as us as the delivery partner, Oracle is the technology partner, and Golden Source as the real offering. It's a perfect blend of our strengths and where we should be working.
And I think what's really nice about this relationship is that when we started it was a public cloud conversation. But obviously, with the Oracle strategy changing, now we've got Cloud at Customer, which is our Oracle Cloud machine. The benefit is when needed, if Golden Source wanted to basically move their application into let's say a isolated cloud, but using public cloud offerings and especially the commercial advantages scaling up, they can do that because they don't have to report it, they just have to deploy it. And I think what's quite nice is that it's a true way of working together that means there's a benefit for all. It's not, we get the ability to provide scale. Cintra provides some architectural skills and some excellence around how they can provide a managed service around it. But more importantly, Golden Source can grow on demand and focus on the bits which are really key to their business. So, it's a really good working relationship, and it's a great example of how other ISVs can benefit from this.
Okay, so as you say, that's a great example of an ISV that's been through the process that's done this sort of re-architecting of their software. Now, chances are a lot of the people watching this particular video are going to be right at the start of that process still, considering what and how they're going to go about making the move to bring their software into the cloud. I'll put again the question to both of you. If you could give one piece of advice to a chief executive of an ISV who's about to set out on this process, what do you think that would be? John, perhaps you first.
Do a POC. I think
POC?
I think that a lot of people think lifting to the cloud could be a massive re-engineering. The likelihood is you don't have to start with a multi-tenant solution. You could just start with a multi-tenant platform to live on and live an isolated solution. So you don't have to have big steps. It's all about marginal gain. So why don't you first of all consider actually checking out of on-premise physical infrastructure, move it to a public cloud like IaaS. As that grows, you might want to re-engineer some aspects. You might want to extend your cloud using platform services like mobile cloud service. So it's not a big jump that's required. It's a journey, as Abdul said right at the start. And for me, I think if we sit down and work together, we can create the journey that makes the sense to show you the benefit in a much smaller building blocks than actually having to rebuild the entire house.
Okay, so POC or a proof of concept, one thing to do. Abdul, what would you advise?
I would say engage cloud experts, cloud architects who have the IP, have the track record, and have the knowledge in the ISV space. We've been helping ISVs now for 15 years in terms of optimizing their on-premise deployments. We've now evolved our program into a cloud program and helping ISVs now move into the cloud, such as Golden Source. Okay.
John Abel from Oracle, Abdul Sheikh from Cintra. Thanks for sharing some of your experiences of working with software companies and helping them move their products to the cloud. That's all we've got time for in this particular video. Hopefully we've given you some useful hints and tips and best practices for your consideration about how to start architecting your software for the cloud. Thanks for watching.